The 1920s was a period of economic prosperity. However, numerous social issues were brewing in the background. The KKK experienced a massive resurgence due to the prevailing anti-foreign attitudes brought about by the First World War. The presidencies of Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, and Hoover spanned the 1920s. An air of isolationism surrounded American foreign policy. From U.S. congressional refusal to sign the Treaty of Versailles to the failure to join League of Nations, Americans made it clear they wanted no part in foreign affairs. The prevailing attitude was solidified by the Kellogg-Briand Act, signed by Coolidge.
At the end of World War I, Wilson proposed his 14 points, which included the formation of an international group of diplomats. This was the League of Nations. Other countries agreed to join, but Congress rejected the plan, citing the potential of a financially expensive obligation. Congress's refusal to approve U.S. membership in the League of Nations upset many European countries, and without the participation of the U.S., now recognized as a world power, any decisions made would seem useless. In retaliation, Britain and other European Union nations raised tariffs favoring only other EU members. Wilson and his successors, however, included their own unofficial observers to listen in on meetings to let the president know what was being discussed, and had Congress pass enough legislation that agreed with the policies of the League of Nations to satisfy the UK. After World War I, the UK and US became closer allies, and the British Prime Minister David Lloyd George refused to renew treaty with Japan in order to improve relations with the US. At home, the British Parliament faced a growing Labour Party, while the US began to develop a fear of socialism. Under President Coolidge, the Kellogg-Briand Act was made. It was an international agreement not to use war as part of international policy. Afterwards, the U.S. attempted to begin another period of isolationism and improve domestic affairs. After the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, which caused Russia to withdraw from the war and led to the communist takeover, people began to fear socialists and anarchists, especially since labor unions were growing with the decrease of war production. During the first Red Scare, people grew paranoid about immigrants being communists trying to take over the U.S. government as well. This led to events like the Sacco and Vanzetti trial and the Palmer raids. Sacco and Vanzetti were Italian immigrants accused of murdering two men in an armed robbery in Massachusetts. During their trial, they revealed their anarchist views, sending the jury against them, and were sentenced to death. It was later found out that they were most likely innocent. The Palmer raids occurred when the U.S. Department of Justice tried to deport radical leftists, including anarchists.
The First World War left evident scars on American minds. As veterans returned from the trauma of massacres caused by trench warfare, a sense of disillusionment filled the country. Known to many as the age of materialism, the 1920s saw a decline in moral values coupled with increasing interest in materialistic wealth. As a result, American mass consumerism was born.
The Roaring Twenties was a decade of massively expanded consumer spending and economic growth. On the surface, it was most marked by the conception of American consumer culture due to the increasing usage of credit and the growth of the middle class who had made major gains during the previous progressive era. Now they demanded more and more goods, and businesses complied with advances in mass production. It made technology and other goods affordable for the middle class. However, things were far from equal. In fact, during this time period, one of the main initiatives of the Harding and Coolidge administrations was decreasing taxes on the wealthy, as it was believed that heavy tax on the rich would slow the economy and reduce tax revenue. This, in combination with the severe lack in regulation of the economy, resulted in a huge income gap between the rich and the poor. Though there was a lot of growth and improvement in standard of living, in reality, much of it was skewed towards the upper classes. The Lost Generation was the group of young people who came out of World War I cynical about the world. The phrase, the Lost Generation, which was coined by Gertrude Stein, was often used specifically to denote the generation of writers during this period. The phrase symbolized their disillusionment with the world, resulting in lost values and a sense of futility, which also led to hedonism. Famous members of the Lost Generation included T.S. Eliot, Ernest Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald, and Gertrude Stein. As the average American became more influenced by wealth and luxurious goods, these writers began to write novels and short stories criticizing this materialism and what they considered to be the excessive individualism of the era.
At the time, there were a lot of Ku Klux Klan around. They had harassed him quite a bit because he was Catholic. When they were living on the farm down in North Lima, anyway, they heard a commotion out in the yard somewhere. I don't know whether it was the chicken coop or whatever they had, and so he took a shot out that way. Whoever it was, he must have hit him in the leg or something, because nothing was ever said in town, but apparently somebody was limping around somewhere, but no one ever accused him of anything. They were the ones that put my father out of business. That's the way I remember it.